And welcome everybody. Cabbage Cafe. There'll be some more people joining us shortly. And we were going to talk about the victory in Ann Arbor last night. And Captain Kirk, well known here in the cannabis community of Michigan, recently moved to Oklahoma, and he's going to call in, and we're going to talk to him for a little bit about that experience and what's going on with him there. And that'd be a good opportunity to get into a little bit of the history of cannabis in Michigan, as we like to do every show, at least a little bit when we can. There is some legislation that's probably going to be hitting the Senate for a vote this week. I'd like to talk about, but I think we're ready to go. We're, instead of like the regular kind of introductory part of the show, we're going to get right into discussing last night's victory in Ann Arbor with the criminalized nature, because this is the time when Julie Barron has to speak with us, and she is here with us now. Welcome, Julie. Can you hear everything okay? How are you doing?
I can, yes. Hi, thank you.
Right. Well, congratulations. And we've been following this the whole time. Of course, Colin McDougall and Jim Salam are typically on the show with us and working with the organization. He's here with us now, Colin. He wants to make sure he is recognized, that everybody knows he is here, and you know that's appropriate. Everybody, Colin is here, and Jim hopefully will join us pretty soon. But anyway, this is very exciting because after a lot of work, after a lot of discussion, after a lot of strategies and ups and downs, everything that goes into the weirdness of activism and trying to get something done, the criminalized nature had a victory last night.
Yes.
Nice. So Julie, please let us know how you're thinking and feeling about this right now.
All right. Well, I gotta say I was in a complete state of shock because we didn't expect it to happen last night. We were told it was likely going to be postponed, and so I wasn't super prepared, and it happened and it unfolded in front of our eyes so quickly, with a complete unanimous support of Ann Arbor City Council, which also was shocking. It just happened so quickly that we were all just sitting there like, did this just happen? Looking around, right? No one's with us because we're all in our own little separate spaces, just trying to figure out what happened. And it did, and it passed unanimously, and it's absolutely outstanding. What's beautiful about it is that these medicines, they speak for themselves. It's like every single city that's passed so far, which is Oakland, Santa Cruz, and Ann Arbor, passed unanimously through city council.
What about Chicago? What happened there? Wasn't there?
Chicago, you know what? It passed through it was confusing because it got posted like it passed. It didn't pass. It got put in a community health committee or something like that.
Health and Community Service. It was like
Gotcha.
deferred to a committee or something.
Yeah,
Well, it's the mandatory steps they have to go through, right? Yeah.
And even so, this is historic because we're talking like one of the top 3 or 4 cities that have done this in the nation. So yeah, that's really cool in and of itself. Now, did something that you're aware of or that you discovered later on was the basis or the trigger for the council just dominoing a unanimous?
There were a couple things. Well, first of all, we did like a 6-month education campaign for council, and it was pretty powerful. We had, doctors from the Cleveland Clinic and from pretty large veterans organizations, and these really expert top professionals sending letters directly to city council members in support of our resolution. We had testimonials, we had research, and we just kept coming. We were doing it snail mail, email. We were just like, conversation. The community support was extremely overwhelming. One of the bigger things I heard from council members was that they didn't hear one opposition from any constituent in the city. They didn't get an opposition comment about this at all.
And then same cannot be said for the process of the cannabis discussions, even in the Ann Arbor City Council meetings.
Yeah.
That is quite awesome.
It's quite awesome. Yeah. And then
And I was
there's
gonna say, they said that they never got as many like medical professionals and scientists to like send them letters on a particular topic in the city of Ann Arbor ever before. So that
That's
was really cool.
excellent. That's fantastic.
yeah.
Yeah. What were you gonna say, Julie? Sorry.
Oh, I was just going to say, you know, one interesting comment that one of the co-sponsors, a surprise co-sponsor to the resolution, Kathy Griswold, said that a psilocybin mushroom pharmaceutical company just went on NASDAQ. And so for her, it was like, oh, it's real. Oh, there's no reason that there would be all this investment behind it if it wasn't going to be the next like huge thing. That was like her comment about what maybe was like the thing for her.
Right.
So
like
all the constituents, all the doctors, that wasn't convincing, but the stock market, that triggered it.
which is like a it's kind of like a jump in the gun discussion a little bit, because they simply voted to decriminalize, remove penalties for people probably possessing in small amounts and stuff. There was no allowing for, you know, commercial production or selling it to people or anything like that. But the fact that it's on the NASDAQ list someplace, somewhere, you know, means that similar to the, you know, pathway, of course, that, you know,
The European pharmaceutical company. So
okay, there you go. So you know, we saw that GW, whatever, pharmaceutical and do stuff with cannabis, and there's a, you know, there's this parallel path here that we've talked about it many times before, and you know, so it would seem then we start seeing other places decriminalizing it locally, maybe a statewide thing, and you know, we just keep it moving forward, keep the needle moving forward, and hopefully the way that you're going about this and some of the cannabis work that's been done before, and these things can equal, you know, less of a hassle, less obstacles, you know, quicker to have the conversations with people so they can understand what's going on and all that kind of stuff. But you did a great job. All this, everything you described, you know.
Yeah, I was gonna say the framework's been laid by the cannabis industry. That's exactly why. I mean, like even up to, you know, most recent, you know, city council in Ann Arbor, I'm pretty sure at least one of the council people at least has been against it. Yet this person completely voted in favor of this resolution, right? So it just, you know, it shows that while we're sort of riding on the coattails of the cannabis industry and building upon the work that's been laid out in front of us by you all and everyone else that's been working on this, we also get to learn then from the mistakes that were made and hope for improvement. You know, decrim nature is not about the medicalization model and not even necessarily about the legalization model, depending on what that looks like, but it's really keeping the medicine in the hands of the people, right? That's the mission of this organization. And there are several other cities who are building or have built a decrim nature chapter already and starting to do some groundwork. And that's Grand Rapids has a group forming, Marquette, Detroit has a group forming, and then there's actually a city council member in Lansing who has reached out to me several times who is interested in proposing this in Lansing. So that's pretty wonderful.
Julie, an attorney online asked a question about whether or not this authorizes the growing of entheogenic substances like mushrooms. Could you explain exactly what personal freedoms you've earned for the citizens of Ann Arbor?
Yeah, so it is, yes, you can grow. It's possession, use, distribution, meaning you can give it away, right? Mm-hmm. Oh, I wish I had the list in front of me. Can anybody pull up the list?
But you can produce it, you can possess it, you can use it, and you can gift it to people.
Yes.
Basement mushroom garden, okay, right?
Okay, and you can transport it. So that I believe that I got that's the total list. Thank you for helping me put that together.
Of course,
yeah.
It makes sense to make some practicality out of it. All those components are necessary, you know, for it to exist and for people to have it use it.
Where it goes in the resolution, it says further resolved that this resolution does not authorize or enable the following activity: commercial sales, manufacturing of these plants and fungi, processing, distributing these materials in schools, driving under the influence of these materials, or public disturbance.
So
But
Lacey, you did say you cannot manufacture, is that what it said, or something similar to that, without any other context?
commercial or manufacture, yeah.
Commercial
might-
manufacturing.
Okay. You also said processing, but is there a
Yep.
comma after processing, or is it because?
Well,
Says processing or distributing these materials in school. That's
Okay.
where the comma.
right, okay.
All right. So that's an activity specifically tied to a school location that's
That's-
prohibited.
Yeah.
That sounds like that, but it also sounds
Oh,
like
here-
you're
I
not
found
allowed
the
to
other
grow by
part.
that statement. It's still, like,
Oh, you
technically.
can grow. You can grow.
Yeah.
I'm so- okay.
Here, hang on.
Okay.
Let me read this other part. Be it resolved that the city council and the mayor hereby declare that it shall be the policy of the city of Ann Arbor that the investigation and arrest of persons for planting, cultivating, purchasing, transporting, distributing, engaging in practices with or possessing entheogenic plants or plant compounds which are a federal ones list which are on the federal one list shall be the lowest law enforcement priority for the city of Ann Arbor, and city funds or resources shall not be used in the investigation, detention, arrest, or prosecution
Okay,
arising.
actually, that was changed. This was something that actually got changed by city council, and I'm personally not super happy about it, but they actually took that part out about city funds being used for arrest and prosecution.
But this is in the final resolution on their website.
Oh, on
That's
the GNA too. Well, that's
No,
not what
not
they,
on DNA 2. It's on Ann Arbor's website.
is it? That wasn't on the one that they sent us today.
It's possible that they may have a draft still up, and that because it's less than 24 hours, they haven't posted the correct version of the ordinance yet.
But either way, it remains illegal, but there's no motivation for police to want to care about this activity. There's nothing that is gained from it.
So technically, it's not a decriminalization; it's a lowest law enforcement priority.
It's a lowest law enforcement priority. Yeah.
That is different than decrim. Okay.
It is, but all the headlines and everything, until we just read this, wouldn't have known by the way it's been reported.
Oh yeah, it is a little bit different in a different version.
It works. It's fine. No, it's great.
Yeah,
it
it's
serves
a
the
win,
purpose.
no question. And Jim, I know you've joined us now. Jim Salame, thank you for your effort to help decriminalize Nature Ann Arbor as well. So
Thank
all
you
of you
guys.
heroes.
It's been amazing. I'm so happy for everybody.
He's so excited. He's frozen.
Is there anyone else in the organization you'd like to
we're
give some
excited.
credit to? while we have?
It was great to see Chief Fox. I don't think I have a very good stable Wi-Fi.
You are
right?
correct. Yeah, it's having a hard
Sorry.
time coming in.
But I love everybody. I'm so glad that. Yeah, I might just want to sit back and watch this.
Jim, if you log out, log back in, you might have better success.
He's done that a couple times, but you're still welcome to try anytime.
I'll
Jim,
give
so
it a
you can jump in on this conversation. Yeah, we're gonna.
Julie,
Maybe
were there any
anything.
accolades? Anyone you wanted to
Yes.
specifically recognize?
Yes, thank you for asking. First of all,
Julie.
Shelley Smith has joined us.
This
Obviously.
guy loves you. This guy right here, he loves you.
yes.
He is? Yeah.
Yeah. love the background. Love it.
It's in honor of you guys. Yeah.
Aw. I want to first really thank Ann Bannister. Really. I want to thank Jeff Hayner. And I want to thank Kathy Griswold and Ali Ramlawi. Those were the co-sponsors on City Council of our resolution. So they, really made it happen. And, our team is just completely outstanding. Chuck Ream was our political advisor, and he really carried the ball politically. He knew how Ann Arbor City Council worked, and we absolutely followed what he said and did, and that got us where we are. I mean, that's the reality. And obviously, Jim, and Colin, and you already know because you listen to them talking about it all the time. And Chris Kurtz and Mike O'File and Rumsey Abueta and anyone that worked on the steering committee with us. And I want to thank Jazz Cabbage too, because you
Robin
guys
Pott.
had us. Oh, Robin Pott. Yep. You guys had us
I don't
on
know
for-
Shane's last name, but Shane.
Yeah, but
also.
Colin, stop interrupting the praise for Jazz Cabbage. Continue talking great stuff about us, would you please?
I do. I really want to acknowledge that you guys supported us from the very, very, very beginning, and had us on throughout the entire movement talking about it. And, you know, with obviously Colin being on and Jim being on, you know, you guys are, you know, almost a part of this experience and this win for us. So I want to thank you for that.
And shout out Medical Mondays. They also always talk about
Yeah.
decriminalizing.
And we have
mushrooms.
Berg with us, and very much in support. And but
I was
you
always
did
thrilled on it.
you guys did some really good work, great strategy. The team that you just described, very strong, obviously came through.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm glad that it was kind of unexpected. I'm glad for you that this happened sooner and more dramatically than expected, because that's kind of deserved that kind of experience after all this work.
I agree. All right, y'all, I got to run. Thank you so much for having me on.
So thank you very much. And so Julie, people can get in touch with you or this organization. You do consultations with people for using cannabis and things, and you have a product line, all that kind of stuff. Just give a quick spiel about that and where people can reach out.
Yeah. So I have a private practice here in Ann Arbor, where I work doing psychedelic integration therapy, and you know I help people prepare and integrate, and now this process can completely change, and I can help people throughout the process. And so I'm looking for an office space in Ann Arbor starting immediately. So I'm just kind of putting that out there. It needs to be in the city proper. I have one. It's not going to work for this particular situation. And I do cannabis health consulting too. If you have a health issue and you think cannabis may be helpful, then I'm happy to help you through that process. So you can reach me through, well, this is kind of a long one, but it's transpersonalhealingmichigan@gmail.com, or just look my name up on, Julie Barron, look it up on Google. And then, or bluesagehealth.com. You guys can find me there too.
Excellent. Again, congratulations and thank you very much.
Thank you.
Julie Barron, Decriminalized Nature. Thank you. We'll heap some praise onto Colin a little bit after you're gone.
Yeah.
So you did do a good job, Colin.
Oh,
And
thank you.
and you kept us apprised of the progress and what was going on throughout too, which is pretty cool.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say that the guys on Medical Mondays are a little hurt that you stopped coming on though. I hear it in their voice. They're like, "No calling again this week."
All right, I was gonna come on last night, but then like the decriminalized nature thing just kind of kept rolling on. It was like 9:40 before like we even got like heard, and then
Absence
there was a post Zoom
excused
call.
yesterday. I think you're okay with that one.
I was taking a hiatus, so sometimes you got to. Because I feel like sometimes I repeat myself too much,
Colin, you're welcome to stay on this show, repeating yourself or not, or to give yourself a hiatus anytime that you deem any of that necessary.
Just be careful where the camera's pointed while you're doing the hiatus, because we don't want to watch that. Okay.
Okay.
Well, maybe that means something different than I thought.
Did you change your facial hair or something?
No, I just haven't shaved in 4 days or something.
That's a way. That's a way of changing your facial hair. It's just
I lost my facial hair in March or so, and I'm just lazy this last week. That's all, Shelly.
Okay.
I can understand that.
I did get new glasses though. If that's probably what you're like. Something's different about him.
That's it. You
looks
wanted to match.
Looks a lot more sleek. What is that?
You wanted to match me, glasses twin.
Oh, you are glasses twins.
What? I noticed on my Shelly Smith 2020 calendar. I was like, man, what if I wear glasses like those? I could have a calendar next year.
Hey, Shelly, before we move on to something else, anything, any updates or anything of particular interest you want to say about weeds and reeds?
Well, the episode that we did with Michigan Psychedelic Society is getting a lot of listens, so that's exciting because we talked about ayahuasca, and it was a great episode. So I'm so excited for Decriminalized Nature, and that was great. And when Julie and I traveled together last weekend, we got to hang out with Micah File, and they put out all these press releases and everything, and it was just so fun. So good things coming up. I'm releasing a play that we read later today, and I'm releasing our T-Barb episode, and I've got Freedom Farmers coming up and pleasure activism, and I'm hiring a marketing person, and all that's going on, and I miss y'all.
Shelley, did you happen to see
it.
that
End of story.
the cast of Princess Bride gathered together to do a table reading of
Yes.
their script to support the Wisconsin Democratic Party? How cool is that?
Oh, I didn't see that. What I saw was the Princess Bride, there's a video going around with all these famous actors doing little cut takes of the Princess Bride, like doing basically the whole movie, but with home video.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how to look it up, but it's if you're a Princess Bride fan.
Yeah.
So I will look up that other thing.
I think that's
Barry the Giant.
Yeah.
I think that's what he's talking about.
Yeah.
No. The table read, they were just, this was nobody in the original cast. It was just random people.
Random people.
I see. People like fan people recreating. That's cool.
Yeah, but famous actors just kind of randomly doing scenes from Princess Bride in their homes or whatever, and then they cut it all
Let's storm in
together
the
to be like
castle.
a movie.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. Very cute.
Nice.
So that's that. I've been farming still, and still really loving that, and learning a ton, and that's it.
Very cool.
That sounds like a lot.
It is.
Need to make it back on Weeds and Reeds again.
Yeah. Oh, and Jamie, give me another a follow-up book to Fingerprints the Guides, because it gets almost the most listens every single week. So people really love that, and I would be happy to do another book. We just need to get it on the schedule. So let me know maybe we can get Richard Sarfo and he can be on it. So tell me what that is, and we'll throw that on the list.
That sounds perfect. I have a couple different ideas for that.
Cool.
And we'll talk about that soon.
Sweet.
Because there's a bunch of things we could go to, but there's Magicians of the Gods, and then there's America Before, and they both fit as a follow-up to that book.
Ooh, okay. Same audience, same people like that kind of stuff.
It is really cool because more evidence of things that were presented in Fingerprints of the Gods has been discovered since then, and then a lot of that is included into these.
Same author?
Same author. Graham Hancock.
Oh, okay, yeah. Oh, sure, because people love him.
Yeah.
People love that show. So.
Yeah, we should definitely do that. I'm doing something with Richard on this too, slightly differently, but we should do that. That'd be great.
Yeah.
As a precursor for sure. So while we're waiting for Kirk, we'll probably be on the next 10 minutes or so, or 15. I'm not sure. What's going on with Medical Mondays, Bird? What's happening next week? You have a guest lined up, if I remember correctly.
Yeah, it's Collexium. It's a group of African American women that are and they're going to be returning on. Hopefully, we're going to be getting some samples from them. So if we do, I'll be sure to get you some, Jamie.
Oh yeah. Were they on the show a few weeks ago?
Yeah, they were.
Back in July.
Yeah, very cool and very active politically also, and looking forward to talking to them again, actually.
Very involved in the city of Detroit and their ordinance being drafted still.
I believe there was an MLive article published about them just recently.
Okay.
Yeah.
By the way, Jim Salame, thanks for rejoining us, and what an awesome drapery you have behind you there, man. That paisley pattern is cool.
Is it coming through? Okay, great.
Yeah.
It's coming through.
And your audio is perfect.
Jim, while he can receive it. Well, the
You look really
Nice.
clean cut too. Are you more clean cut than normal too?
Yeah, I
know.
shaved my beard off.
Oh, okay.
Was it a celebratory
All right,
move
then.
or was it coincidence?
No, it's just coincidence. I think, wanted to change the pace a little bit.
Sure.
Yeah, thanks.
Subconsciously
If I
celebratory.
may say, thank you to everyone who helped participate with DNA2. I know you guys moved on from that conversation,
No, hey,
but
no
it's,
problem.
it's such a big thing. I'm getting emails from people outside of the country that have read about it, and it's just beautiful to see. So thank you, everyone. Thank you for letting this be a platform for it as well. And we continue to press on.
You know, decriminalize nature and Arbor is a move that's close to our hearts. You know, cannabis law reform lends itself to the movement to decriminalize entheogenic substances, but really that's a different scientific set of information that has to be presented. And Julie mentioned that there was like a 6-month information campaign, Jim, in order to educate council. Can you tell us a little bit more about what that was and how that was done? I know there are people out there that would like to reproduce your results in their city.
Yeah, well, Colin can add to this too, but I know that we had testimonials that we put on our Facebook page. We did a survey and took those numbers and crunched them down to show, how people vote if the politicians are for the cause, such as entheogenic plants, and if that helps influence a person's vote. And we showed that over 90% of the people said yes, it does. And then there are lunches from people who are constituents of the city council members that occurred where you get to sit down and face-to-face explain to people, some of the ins and outs of the psychedelic plants and their effectiveness. I think those things, along with, we had a fundraiser early in the year and invited city council. We had about 2 or 3 show up for that. Just always pressing and putting information out. Yeah. Having posters. Facebook and social media is obviously really huge. And, Mike and Chris were really big with that, with DNA. And
yeah, really shout out to Chris Kurtz. He was the one who really led that information campaign, and he was our website headmaster. He was on the show in the past too. He came with me and Julie to the Cave Radio. I can't remember. It was last year sometime.
Ask him if he wants to come back on a couple weeks.
Yeah, for sure.
A good, interesting conversation with him too.
One of the things. Go ahead, Colin.
But I was going to say, mainly we just got different articles that were being published every other day, like in different magazines, like, The Economist, Forbes, New York Times. There's just so much good research coming out of like Johns Hopkins University and Canada, that it was just like, it was hard to like find reasons why to oppose it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And one thing in particular, we did all that, but we did it in a way that wasn't too obtrusive and too much like saturation, because people can get annoyed if you just keep on trying to spoon feed. You want to do it slowly and introduce them to this and be respectful of their time as well. So we would send 1 article a week just to the city council for them to look over and keep them educated. And, slowly this built up into something bigger.
Yeah.
You can't underestimate the value of having a friendly person on council. Oftentimes people try to create good laws in a community where no one on council wants the law that they're trying, and it's just a roadblock. I'm sure that DNA, especially with Chuck on board, you already had some relationships with folks on council, but that's critical, Jim, to anybody that's trying to plan something locally. You and Colin both know that. Wouldn't you agree with that statement? You have to have somebody friendly on council, and you should foster that relationship.
Yeah, and I would say that big shout out to Ann Bannister. She was the one who we really first reached out to, and she kind of took the ball from the get-go and just was a really good person to like talk to about it. And she listened really well, and she communicated with other council members about it.
That was huge.
And Jeff Hayner also, he was the other one who kind of the main sponsors were Ann and Jeff, and he came to our fundraiser early on, and he was really interested. Like, yeah, him and Ann worked on the resolution, I guess,
Nice.
have been for like at least 6 months or so now, and
Very cool.
yeah. So I mean, Chuck Ream also like very in touch with his own council people, and they even one of them said like he wasn't convinced at first, but the more he looked into it and the more information Chuck gave him, and he was the one who kind of convinced the one who might have voted no to vote yes. I feel like so.
Well, Chuck
Yeah.
Green, Chuck is the decrim man of Ann Arbor. I mean, he's been doing this since the 70s with cannabis.
Mhm.
And I think without him, we wouldn't have the expertise. So if you're thinking about this, doing this in other cities, you might want to rent out Chuck Green, because Chuck can help you
Rent a
understand
Chuck.
how to speak to council, how to read the laws, how to incorporate different aspects of that resolution. And Chuck is a hero, and he'll be the first one to deflect that and say that it's a team effort and it's
He
all
knows it.
everybody else. But
He knows
he's
he's the
really a
shit.
big part of the spine of it.
The man whose name consists of 2 verbs. He's aware of his own legacy, I'm pretty sure. So, and speaking of Ann Bannister, that is somebody who I've known for a really long time from being around Ann Arbor over the years. And she took over for Sabre Briere. Sabre Briere left her seat when she did not become mayor, I think in 2016.
Yeah.
No, she moved.
And moved to California with her husband, attorney David Cahill, who helped us out quite a bit on petition drives, local petition drives, and other things. And she is, and of course, Sabre was a really huge friend to our community. And I bet if she were here now, she would research this issue and determine that it was something that she would support. That's my guess. We'd have to ask her, but that's how she operated. That's why she decided to support cannabis, because she looked into it and decided that, hey, a lot of this information is correct. It's not a, dangerous thing. We need to be, more sensible about how we approach this. She would do the same thing for this issue. But anyway, Ann took her spot and, kept the good relationship and the positive, support for, those types of sensible policies alive. And I'm happy to hear about that.
The other thing we got to mention too is just decriminalized nature out in Oakland. And Larry and Carlos, the 2 guys who co-founded that group out there, were great soundboards for us to help. And Larry even called and spoke to council last night. So it's having them there was insurmountable with information and what we should be talking about and looking at. And I think this will grow. And if anyone's listening and wants to start doing this, look to the main people like that, because they're there for you with resources that are, priceless. So.
We oftentimes think that when we take up a cause that we're kind of on our own, or our circle of friends, or who we can lean on, but there's a lot more resource available to people who are willing to open it up. Sometimes people are worried about national influences, and they're worried about the thrust that they're going to give to the whole thing. But in reality, most of those people just want to help you be successful at the thing that you're trying to do locally. That's their goal.
Yeah. And then my final shout out, and I'll stop it. Kalindi, who passed away a few months ago. He was on the decrim board here in Ann Arbor. And, it's really beautiful that this happened. I just wish he were here because he was probably the most passionate for this movement.
Yeah, definitely. I feel like we kind of leave him out, but yeah, I feel he had an influence on a lot of members in the psychedelic community around Michigan. And I hope that if anybody wants to reach out to us, though, feel free to reach out to me, and we're gonna try and eventually do something because we have other cities in Michigan that are interested, and we'll probably continue to have a Michigan call or something going on for different cities.
Julie mentioned that Detroit had something going on, and I've heard of it, but I don't know where or who. Do you guys happen to have some connection to that group?
Yeah, it's probably me on there and Julie. So I just think that the Detroit group just hasn't really gotten going. There's a Google group, but I'm sure in the next couple days, just give us some time to celebrate, and we'll have I'm sure a Detroit Google group going, or call a Zoom.
Well, a great
call.
opportunity for a lot of people to get motivated. They now can see that progress can be made.
An example of success is all the candle that some people need to light their torch, man.
Yeah, definitely.
Sweet.
So you're going to get complacent by celebrating.
Wait, was that
No.
was that a success? Is all the light a candle needs to start burning? Was that what you said? Something was beautiful right there.
It'll be on video, so we can have it preserved
Okay.
forever.
We could say like
Found
spread
spontaneous
like
poetry by Rick.
mycelium like throughout. You could like spread like that. I've heard
Sure.
it before.
Like this.
So, yeah.
And you know, Mushroom Day was last Sunday.
Yeah, it
Mushroom
was,
Day is,
really?
September
It was
20th.
9:20. So
That's cool.
That's
Oh,
great.
That's cool.
It's fitting.
So,
You got the
and
first day of
it's-
fall today.
It is
yeah.
the first day of
I've
fall. Thank
met.
you for acknowledging that.
I've been around so many sort of mushroom experts lately, and that is really fascinating. Colin or Jim, I don't know if Julie told you about this place we ended up north, where not psychedelics, but like every kind of mushroom in the world is just growing out in the woods. Mycophile knows how to hunt them all down, and then we learned a lot from him.
go
We
out.
learned
I
a
gotta
lot
go
from
hang
this.
out with him.
Yeah. If you want to go back up there, I want to do a Reeds and Weeds at that place where they talk about mushrooms. So we can go just do like a 1-day turnaround Reeds and Weeds thing. We're trying to set that up before it gets too cold up there, because it would be really hard to get up there and back in the Camry if it gets, it's way out in the woods.
Gotcha.
But it would be great. Yeah.
Where did you say up there was? What part are you talking
Julie
about?
He
and
lives
I,
near
Julie
Big
and I
Rapids
randomly,
somewhere.
he lives near Big Rapids,
Oh, all right.
and Mycophile lives within and when they met, they immediately he's this amazing artist who used to live in DC and New York and have galleries there, and he came back to Michigan and built this wonderful event center space that we just thought we were going to camping, but I couldn't get a tent at the last minute, so we can book a room in this place. We had no idea, but it was freaking amazing and gorgeous. And it turns out all these psychedelic friends were up there, and Mycophile only lives like 10 minutes from where the place was, and he met the guy and they went running through the woods looking for mushrooms, and then we heard Dixon's violin, and it was totally sweet. It was awesome. It was totally great. Yeah. And while they were up there together, they were like, we got to work while we're here, because they had to get out all those announcements for decriminalized nature. So they did work, and Julie got emails from everybody that was staying there. She was working, but it was super duper fun. It was wonderful.
Nice.
That's
sometimes advocacy and activism actually, it's more than just that. It's a bonding experience. It's a life memory, right? Life memory right there.
Yeah.
Cool. What's Kirk's deal, James? We gotta get the Oklahoma mail-in.
We said like 4:30, 4:45, and it's
Is
right
Kirk
in between.
the chef?
He is.
Is he a chef? Oh, okay, great. I'm excited about that.
Well, and he's had such a long history here in Michigan that it's nice to walk down memory lane with somebody who's actually can relate to all the references you make. But also he's done one of those things a lot of Michiganders do, and that's go someplace else to find success, because our market here doesn't necessarily favor people that aren't licensed under the MRA and the MMFLA. So there are opportunities for people to go to Oklahoma and other places if they have to in order to find their fortune.
And what's he doing? Is he like being a private chef or?
Tell you what, let's ask him, because he's coming on here.
Oh, he's coming on. Oh, okay.
Good.
There he is. He's connecting to audio.
All right.
Yeah, last week I had a lot of problems with this whole thing, and that's ultimately why Kirk didn't make it home. But now he is rounding the corner.
This is like an episode of Law and Order where they have the camera that just goes all over the place.
This show is exactly like Law and Order. Tell all your friends who love Law and Order that this is the next thing they should queue up, because this is so much like Law and Order.
Hey, Kirk, I think you're with us, man.
Cube.
You hear? There he is.
There he is.
Captain Kirk.
How you doing?
What city in Oklahoma are you in right now, big guy?
I am in Yukon, Oklahoma.
Okay. That's kind of deceptive. I think Yukon, Alaska.
Yeah, is it in the northern part of Oklahoma, at least?
Yeah,
Does it make sense in that way?
Basically, think of a suburb outside of Oklahoma City.
Okay.
Oh, all right.
Are you from Detroit? Is that how we know you? Have I met you? I don't know. Are you from this area though? You moved out there?
This is 20 questions. Go.
I'm around Michigan there. I mean, I've been there, 16, 17 years. I just came out to Oklahoma now because I had a great opportunity and things going on.
Oh.
So Kirk's been on the making good medibles, higher end kind of infused foods, since the beginning of this whole thing has been doing it ever since. So 2008 rolled around, he was right involved in all the action that was taking place and helping people out significantly, really helping people out with conditions and himself, because he utilizes cannabis as a medicine. And he's been a huge activist, and he's been involved in kind of like the business side of stuff. And, he's been very much immersed in all things in Michigan for years, and has won several cups, several contests with his creations.
Key lime pie, baby. Yeah.
Cheesecake.
I'm
Yeah.
actually ready to make some key lime pops for an event this weekend.
Nice.
Oh, man. Yep.
And so anyway, just he's recognized all over for doing this, and has decided to take the show to Oklahoma, where there's a lot of activity going on. We want to hear about that and how that went down and everything, and what you are now doing.
Here is going very well. I got involved with some great people, partners that I've been invested with for about 4 years now. That I met out in Pennsylvania when Michael Toohey and I went out there and did a speaking engagement. And then after years, it's built up, and now I'm about to have a 2,000-foot kitchen and everything. And, down here, the kitchen was supposed to be done, but like everything, stuff wasn't done in time, and that's okay. We got about 3 weeks to go. But everything's looking great. The build out's great, and trying to do everything like everyone's doing there, legal and staying within the law, and everything's metric here now. Is went metric. So we've had practice with that back home.
These will be Captain Kirk branded products.
Yes, everything
Nice.
will.
Still going to use the
Oh,
Detroit Pistons logo,
awesome.
man? The color scheme?
Actually, when that actually came about, some people said it was from the Who, some people said the Pistons, some people said, what you were talking about. But actually, it came about when I was watching a Stan Lee interview where he was talking about Captain America and how it brought back an America like.
Shield.
So that's actually where that came from. So we switched a few things up, added a black line, and made sure that we weren't infringing on any trademark things like that. And then we had it trademarked, and now I'm good to go.
So that's going to continue to be your scheme then, right?
Probably for right now, unless somebody walks in with a lot of money and says, well, this isn't right or something like that, or shows me a better way. But I'm going to stick with that way because it's worked for me so well, the branding has. So.
Oh, yeah.
Fantastic.
What are your main products? Do you do sweets, or do you do sauces, or do you do private events?
We do a little bit of everything. We make sure that we cover diabetics. We do a lot of working with kids. The newest thing that we've been doing is, and something that we're working on now, is kind of like MRE EDs, to where you can add hot water and have an instant meal right there. So we do instant soup,
Oh, right on.
Joe's, ice cream, all freeze-dried stuff, to where we're now given a shelf life of everything to anywhere from 10 to 15 years.
Wow.
And no dispensary has to worry about refrigeration, anything going bad
That's
on
amazing.
the freezer, anything like that.
Well, in Michigan, it has to have at least a 20-year shelf life.
Right.
That's longer
Well-
than most of the businesses will stay in business.
Yeah.
20
Well,
years,
and
so
I feel like you guys should be advertising on like apocalypse bunker websites. Like you need free freeze-dried weed food in your bunker.
Oh, yeah.
The preppers will love
Yeah.
it.
Yeah,
the
militia, man.
Preppers.
The preppers like it, especially with the CBD. So that's been a big hit.
I will
Nice.
be ordering from you
Yeah.
for sure.
We even
Kirk, are
have
you
kind of like a top ramen that you just fill the hot water to a cup. And then, you've heard of Mrs. Dash. Well, I got Mr. Stash. That's a seasoning salt that we've medicated and had for years and years. Jamie and Rick are familiar with that.
Mhm.
Then you at it and they're medicated and have instant, you know.
I still have some of that Jamaican
I love
flavoring
that.
at my house here. It's pretty amazing.
Sure.
Kirk, is Oklahoma allow you to produce THC edibles as well as CBD edibles?
With as long as you have the licensing correct. You do have to have the process and license, which I have and everything right now.
Cool.
Are we actually at this very moment producing the THC stuff? Not at this moment, just making sure the kitchen, and I want everything legal beagle before. I don't want nobody knocking on my door going, hey, you know, I don't need no
Hey.
Couple extra days or a week or two to make sure that you're totally compliant is completely an investment worth making.
Yes, I would say a week or two is probably a best way of saying, yeah, we're good to go then, you know, and we're good to go now. But again, I want to make sure all those dots and T's are crossed and, you know, lined up, because I've learned so much from Michigan in doing things that don't jump the gun. You know what I mean?
Oh, that's great. So you want to give some accolades to your partner in this whole situation here?
Actually, my parts are the, where'd she go?
Yeah, there's.
In the Mad Hatter, right? And yeah, it's Hatter's. Please excuse me because I've got like a list of 15 names in me for an event this weekend. Hatterstash, and what was the other one? Yeah, it's the Meridian Group and Hatterstash.
I was actually talking about Brandy, but you know, you can ignore her at your own peril. It's a bad idea, but you know.
She's here. She's in the background there.
Okay.
Exactly.
We'll talk about that later.
So you guys traveled from Michigan to Oklahoma just within the last couple of weeks, the last few days, and upon your arrival, you leave the trailer full of your stuff out on the street, presumably, you know, going to load it in the next day or whatever. And
happened as of 2 weeks ago today. We arrived here at 3:30 in the afternoon. Would have been about 4:30 your time. Pulled into the neighborhood. They didn't have the house yet finished painting. We're looking around. We're seeing all these expensive trailers with mowers and camping hook up things next to us. Like, hey, you know, we've been dragging this trailer all across from Michigan. We're going to go stay at some friends tonight. We'll drop it off. Painter comes up. He's asking us all kinds of questions. We didn't really think much about it. Blah, blah, blah. We leave at about 9 o'clock that night. We come back at 8:20 in the morning, and Brandy's like, where's the trailer? It's gone. So that was as of tomorrow. It'll be 2 weeks ago. They took every single thing that we own, all our personal stuff, all my High Times mementos, posters, anything that I had saved or had, or roller skates, the ukulele, all the
motorcycle.
I'm going to replace the ukulele.
Oh my God, that's so sorry.
The Harley, you know, but with all this happening to us, it made us stronger, and we've been very blessed from my end there in Michigan, and here in Oklahoma. Some friends came from my youth that I went to high school with and brought stuff up and came and loaded and brought clothes and some, you know, dishes and towels and stuff. So we got through, and now our house is, you know, we're good to go and moving on. And again, it was a lot of personal stuff that
irreplaceable.
Oh my God.
Irreplaceable.
Yeah.
And the sad thing about
and
it, you'll forget about it for a little bit, then you'll be like, oh shit, excuse my language. Oh shucks, I left that in the truck, you know. And you get mad all again, then you get depressed, and then you're all right for a little bit, and then you think of something else you left in there. The sad thing is they got all our birth certificates, passports.
Oh my gosh.
Information on the kids, everything.
Dude.
That sucks.
Hate that.
So
it seems
any
like
leads or any idea, any possibility?
Yeah, have you seen anything pop up? Like if there's something you can see pop up on Craigslist or something, you know,
we are
go searching for it.
Facebook. We are visiting local pawn shops. A couple of the neighbors caught it that morning on their door ring. And here's something for you folks out there that have these door ring things that is all great. It caught them leaving at 4:30 in the morning. It was a silver pickup following a red car. But here's the thing with these doors. You can't see a license plate.
Yeah, no, you don't get shit.
Quality. And they're gone.
Shit.
That's sad.
That's a bummer.
It is what it is. And, you know, maybe it was, I don't know. I've sat there and tried to think about all the, if I had any bad karma coming to me, but I couldn't think of anything that bad. So I'm just looking at it like maybe it was time to let go of a lot of those memories that held some good
Fresh
memories.
start.
Negative.
Fresh start.
Now
Yeah.
it's a fresh start. It's Brandy and I. Everything that we own now is Brandy and I. So it's not anything that either of us had to harbor. But there are some personal stuff that we'd both like to have back, like the Oklahoma City bombing. I was there and I had all the taping. I've held on it for years and years and years.
Oh my gosh.
Here to take to the memorial, and they got that too. So they have all the taping, the toys that I found when I was there at the bombing cleanup. So they got all that too, and it'll probably end up in a dumpster somewhere.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
Yep. Well, I'm very sorry that happened to you, man.
Some bullshit.
It is bullshit and it sucks, but Oklahoma is full, unfortunately, with a lot of people still strung out on meth, which is a horrible thing. But it's not as bad as what I saw when I was a kid here. So, I mean, apparently, but I don't know if that's what caused it. I still, if you want our personal opinion, to my opinion, to the neighbors, to the police and everything, the gentleman that came over and did the paint job that night, when we were leaving for the night with a full trailer, had something to do with that.
Yeah. I mean,
shit.
First thing that jumped into my mind was like
the painter.
All the
workers.
Yeah.
And the workers, I mean, the air conditioner person, the cleaning people were here. We got on our phone, you know, their name and profile picture thing. He was the only one we didn't have that on.
Yeah. Half his workers are fucking.
They now call into the police. Well, due to the COVID virus, you know, I mean, we're sitting here 2 weeks and we still ain't heard back from a.
Wow.
Yet we've been calling every day.
Well, that trailer's got a unique VIN number. So if it ever comes up for sale or anything else.
Tell you about that. Here's another funny part, Rick. All the information,
oh my God.
Trailer in the car was in the back of the truck. Now, when you call the DMV nowadays to get the information for the license plate on the back of the trailer and everything, they're so busy due to the COVID virus, you get hung up on. So we've been calling and can't get a VIN number because they're too busy due to the COVID virus.
Wow.
That really is
a
series of unfortunate events, like Lemony Snicket.
This sounds like a perfect opportunity to cook with weed.
I'm doing now. It's a perfect opportunity to eat with the weeds. The deal.
That's why you have such a positive attitude. Yes.
Freeze-dried gummies will make you smile.
Yeah. Oh, Kirk, I'm sorry for that. You know, we've done some very good things in Michigan. There's got to be a lot of memories you have of your time up here. Share one or two of the really good times that you can recall from your days in activism in the state.
My favorite memory is probably, oh God, when we opened Third Coast, when Third Coast was first going down, and all the work that it put into that, and the line that went all the way around in downtown Ypsilanti, all the way to the police station.
Nice.
That was the very first dispensary east of Colorado, and if my memory serves me correct, that was 2009 or 10. Is that right, Jamie?
9.
Yeah, 9.
Right, 2009. So yeah, the other one would probably be when I won my very first High Times Cup there in downtown Detroit with the key lime cheesecake.
In 12, right?
2011.
11.
And that was right after hospital, spending 5 months in there after losing all my eyesight and that MS stuff. So that was a memory for me that I have many there in Michigan. We will be back there for Thanksgiving and Christmas and things. And I still got things going on there for the Monroe Street Fair we'll be back for. So I haven't abandoned Michigan. And the only reason we're not doing Daboween, by the way, folks, is because
Daboween
hasn't lifted anything there. And I can't hold a party with 500-600 people. So that's the only reason Dabadoo is not happening.
Yep.
Now, let me coronavirus down here in Oklahoma compared to Michigan. It's very different. It's kind of like going up in northern Michigan. It's hit or miss as far as someone wearing a mask or wants you to some restaurants, but you know, back home in Michigan, they don't have buffets, or you can't go to a buffet or anything like that. Well, you know how they fix that here in Oklahoma? You
How'd they
sit
do
down
it?
at the table and they bring you gloves. So you go up,
Okay.
big gloves, and that's how you go to the buffet and get your food.
But you don't have to wear a mask. You can breathe
Oh,
in the food.
they still bring you these gloves. You
You
gotta
gotta
wear
wear a
them.
mask, for sure.
Oh, I was gonna say.
And not wiggle underneath that protective little,
Sneeze
plexiglass
guard
dome
is what
that
it's
they.
called.
Buffets are pretty gross. I'll do
In case
them,
some
but
people
they're
wiggle
pretty
up underneath
gross.
those things.
I
Yeah.
think sneeze guard since you got your mask to catch it, but I don't know,
Yeah.
So we went to a bar one night, the first night after everything happened to us, to go relax and everything. We walk into the bar, and you all know how I feel about cigarettes. They're drinking, eating, and man, they're fully down smoking cigarettes, folks.
Wow.
You know what? I bucked it up. I tucked my hair under my, hat, so to say. I went and shot pool, had a great night, won 12 out of 15 games.
Nice.
And guys, so it was great. But the smoke didn't bother me that bad. We went on the other side of the club, tried to dance. They were playing rock and roll music. Wasn't really dance music, but we'll be back. But we got out, and got away from the house because, again, at that point in time, we didn't even have anything to sit on. So,
Oh my God.
things are different now. I mean, we were, really depressed. But again, I've had so many people come, her and her friends. We're good. It was tough. Don't get me wrong, but it was good.
Well,
I think
you're
it made us closer and stronger. So, excuse me.
all those friends coming together is just the reward for a lifetime of good living, bud.
It's been a blessing, I'll tell you. I'm not going to get choked up on here like I'm probably going to do, but it's been a blessing. I got to tell you, I'm very grateful and thankful for the things and the people in my life in Michigan, which taught me many things, because when I come here to Oklahoma, everything that I learned in Michigan, kind of think of what Oklahoma was where we were in 2011, maybe 10, somewhere in that area. There's
Well,
still learning. When some, you got your really, really, really great growers, and then you got the some over here, but they're all trying to figure out the metric system. And again, through everything that we've been through, we've been blessed to knowing some of that. So,
Do you still make, is it like an actual cheesecake, the key lime cheesecake? Is it like
Yep.
a medicated key lime cheesecake?
yes, ma'am.
And how many milligrams in a whole key lime cheesecake?
It depends on the patient or the request at that time. Usually it cuts up at the 20 slice. You've had them anywhere from 100 milligrams, 50 milligrams on up to 150 milligrams a slice.
A slice. Holy crap. And then, just out of curiosity, do you ship those? Like in time for Thanksgiving?
You learn about Captain Kirk right after he moves out of the state.
Right.
my
Your timing is
God.
terrible on that one.
You're so fucking.
ED cheesecakes, I believe, or non-medicated cheesecakes, or when my rear end comes back there for Thanksgiving, Brandy and I can whip you one up.
There you
Ooh,
go.
okay. That's the answer I was looking for. Something like that. Okay, great.
Nice. Yeah.
That sounds wonderful.
Leave
Man.
50 milligram cheesecakes.
Kirk, you
Nice.
mentioned that you're going to do an event coming up just in the next couple of days. What's the event scene like in Oklahoma? Are they restricted to indoor numbers and things like that as we are here in Michigan?
I don't know yet. This will be my first one to kind of step and walk into. I'm kind of excited. As far as numbers, no. No. If I would have had time and known it, somebody kind of wanted me to do a dab of Wayne, and I'm just kind of like, I don't have time for that. Right. Because again, it's so, not that I didn't want to or think that I just didn't have enough time to put it together. But the reason why I'm telling you that is because there was no restrictions on the amount of people or whatever have. That's why I was saying it's very different here.
Yeah.
As far as like the people I grew up and went with high school with, here's how they kids go to school. Maybe, as they were telling me, one or two of them are wearing masks. Not many of them do. And the ones that end up with the coronavirus go home. They don't shut the school down. They quarantine them kids, but the school still keeps going. So that's kind of, how it goes here in some of the places in Oklahoma. Not all of them, but for the ones I've seen so far.
I mean, everybody's got a different plan, but
They're like picking them off
the results will be in, and they either keep it going because it was working, or they have to peel it back because the numbers go up. Just, that's what response should be.
Well, being from the South, you guys know how important football is, and football games are not being missed here on Friday nights and stuff like that. So,
Right, the high school football, people are fanatics about. I mean, it's huge. It's big in Michigan. Don't get me wrong, but it's huge in Texas.
Texas, Oklahoma.
Friday Night Lights, baby.
Yes, sir. Actually, that was all filmed about Texas, but Texas and Oklahoma all take that shit same serious. So,
right.
In Texas and Oklahoma talking football, you'll have a whole night radio show program right there. You might have to be.
I've been to a Texas high school football game 10 years ago, and it was intense.
I'm sure.
No. Wow. Awesome. And you have a lot of opportunity there in Oklahoma. What kind of future prospects are we talking about? 2,000-foot kitchen certainly gives you a lot of room to expand.
It does. I've been extremely blessed on all of that. I'm extremely just excited to see where all this is going. Right now, it's been kind of like a drain pinch. And Brandy herself has been able to walk into a wonderful opportunity, knowing all the things that she knows and being able to teach them. So with the two of us there has been kind of overwhelmingly nice. I went from having one freeze-dried machine now to having 14 of them, doubled my size, especially in the size of the machine. They doubled the size of that. So I'll be operating 14 of those alone just in getting CBDs and soups around. So we have
Observe it, man. That's really cool.
Tennessee and Florida too with the CB products. So we're just enjoying and riding the ride right now. And again, I've just been so blessed, and I've waited years and years for the right people. You guys know that, Rick and Jamie. You've saw me, and some of you other folks watching have waited patiently. And there's been people that haven't had the right temperament to work with or anything like that, to finally the right group of people, a husband and wife team that get me and I get them, and it's been amazing watching what they built and done again with it. And he's a veteran himself that not much of a consumer, but got into the growing side of it for his PTSD, and what he's done with that's been amazing.
Cool.
So most of everything that they do with their grow and everything, they give back to the veterans, and they go out and give free medicine to the veterans.
That is great.
That's a good story. I appreciate that.
Yeah, that's a good fit too for you.
It goes under the nonprofit Clones for Warriors. So they give out a lot of free clones and medication out to.
Right on.
Nice.
For free.
Nice. Is there a website that people can tune into if they're interested in Clones for Warriors, Kirk?
Actually being built right now.
Okay.
And they're doing that. And also CaptainKirksEdibles.com is being worked on right now. I had to buy my own domain name back. That was interesting and fun.
I'm sure.
That's flattering, man.
Somebody made a nice chunk of dough.
Somebody knew, man. The day would come when you'd want that. And,
Yeah. They were smart. I can't bitch about it. They were smart,
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, for you folks out there doing this, when you do that and you do buy your own domain name, think about it like this. When you buy the domain with all the other names, do the misspelling like
.net, the .co, I know.
All traces back to that same domain, and just trust me, it'll save you a headache and do that. $2 a domain instead of $2,100,
Right. So what are you primarily using to infuse the foods with?
Again, it depends on the patients and everything. I believe what we will be working with here is there's anything from isolates to the full spectrum distillates and stuff like that.
So is that organization that you're with is also going to produce those things, and then you're going to take those things and infuse them into the foods in the kitchen?
Well, yes, that is correct.
Nice.
And doing it all with their grow, so everything, as you know, there has to be tracked and everything. So the greatest thing about all this is too, is strain specific. Even for, like Rick, I know you're familiar with the Mr. Stash, so we're able to take the Mr. Stash now and bring that into strain specific. So we can have a CBD, we can have a tea or an indica one over here, or anywhere from blue dream to green crack, depending on whatever's working for that patient at that time.
Yeah,
or
custom.
that cannabinoid.
that seasoning is an avenue that you can use to infuse foods that otherwise would be difficult to get medicine into, right? I mean, so the seasoning is actually significant when you're talking about medicating a dish.
And just that you can medicate almost anything that you're eating, anything savory that you're eating with that seasoning.
Yeah, I have a question. Maybe you answered this while I was off for a second, but when you're making the seasoning, are you doing it with RSO? Or are you doing it with oils? Like how are you making, I mean, you don't have to give me the secret. I'm just wondering what's your starting point.
I couldn't really tell you all that, but think about this. If you were using an RSO and you clumped it into something like a powder like that, it's going to turn into clump balls and you wouldn't be able to get it out. You would not be able to just distribute that within your seasoning.
Right.
So that is not something you would want to use.
Okay.
Right. I'm just curious what you like to start. If you like to start with oils or you like to start with flour, or like whatever. I've just been having a lot of these conversations lately about the best starting material.
If you were using ice cream, you wouldn't want to use Keith or something like that for the reason why it would make it gritty and sandy. So you wouldn't use something like that. So again, it all depends on what you're making and how you're making it, temperatures. A lot of things vary on that because of the recipe.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love the idea of Mr. Stash because Mr. Stash is something that it doesn't have sugar in it. You know, it might have a little salt or something, but it's for people who might be diabetic, I would imagine. And are you finding with COVID now, Kirk, is your clientele changing as far as asking for more healthier options instead of like cheesecakes and things like that? Are they looking for something just more beneficial for their health?
It's actually funny that you mentioned that. People are looking for something different. In the very beginning, you know, again, it was all sweets and everything. And I remember telling a doctor, you know, that kind of came down on me about it. He's like, look, you know, you can only eat so many brownies and cookies. And I was like, no, sir, there's so many other things that you can infuse and do with. And that's when he started to open his eyes because of the gastrologist I was talking to and started listening. But again, for diabetics, even like Tommy Chong, and then my first words out of my mouth when I met Tommy Chong wasn't hello or how are you? It was are you a diabetic? And the man looked at me, wow, man, why would you say something like that or ask me that? And I told him who I was and what I do. And because of asking that question, was able to get me to do things with him, you know, because he was a diabetic. So we started taking things like that and getting away from, you know, not that we still don't do the sugar side over, but we still wanted to look at the side for like the preppers or the people in Michigan there, like Andrew Summer and them that like to go out hiking and jogging with them, you know, and didn't want to carry great soups. So we started doing freeze-dried soups and coming up with things like that and Nutri-Grain bars and sauces and stuff like that. And then the Mr. Stash came from sitting in a hospital, and due to my heart and stuff, they always gave you those little packets of Mrs. Dash. Well, I kept thinking, you know, I want to turn that into something medicated, and that's where the whole Mr. Stash came along.
Sweet. Yeah. So you buy a bunch of Mrs. Dash and then mix it up with some cannabis.
And then adulterate it. Yeah. Okay.
We don't do like that because that's kind of the same people buying out. So, no, we actually use our own herbs and things like that. And we add the secret things to make it our own things like that. Now, the Jamaican blend that I have, that does come straight to me from Jamaica. And then we add a couple of extra things to make it ours. But for the most part of that recipe from the Jamaican blend comes straight from Jamaica. We have that shit from Jamaica.
Very nice.
And working
Are these
with
available at all?
I'm sorry?
Are they available at provisioning centers in Michigan at all?
There are a few places up there at this moment. No, due to the legal thing right there, I couldn't afford to buy in all that. We are working with some processors out there that we'll be working with eventually and make sure that we do it legal there and work on that part. But as of this moment, due to the laws and the provisioning centers and set up things, no, sir.
Okay.
Yep, you should set up a situation like Ryan Basor has done with Redemption Cannabis, where it's a licensing situation. Clearly, there are very few people in the state that have a reputation established over the decade we've been doing medical that really would translate well into the new industry. And Kirk, you're one of those 2 or 3 people.
Well, thank you for that. And I'm hoping so that eventually, you know, maybe working over there at Third Coast or some other folks that we met there in Flint that we might work with. You know, even all the way up to Al, now past we'll see. It's just the right person and working with, as you guys have all learned, it's going to matter when it comes the right time.
Mhm.
But we definitely plan on being back in Michigan for sure. For sure. I love Michigan. I want to be back.
You know, I like a lot of the stuff in the program in Oklahoma. There was on Medical Mondays a couple of weeks ago a farmer and processor from Oklahoma, robot farmer.
He grows robots.
Yeah.
Not very
And,
many pesticides needed. It's kind of a good crop.
Yeah. Anyway, his description of how people can get into the industry and the different conditions they need versus what we have here. There are some things that are much cooler in Oklahoma and the ability for people to participate.
It is different. And again, like down here, and not that you'd need to, but if you wanted to make a 5,000 milligram chocolate bar, you could. The other thing about down here is you can grow as many plants as you want as long as it's facilitated within your building zoning. But there is no count on saying stop. You can't grow any more than this. No.
So now according to Robot Farmer, like some of the residency requirements have become a little more stiff just because of an influx of people that came there and got inexpensive licenses.
That is correct. But it was also into the law for folks like me that grew up here and everything, you know.
And that's cool. Yeah, that makes sense.
So, yeah.
And so like somebody could, wherever they can grow reasonably, it could be their house, their property, and they get a license and the product meets the standards according to the state, it can be placed into the market.
Correct.
And somebody can get a license for somewhere, you know, all things considered, for around like $3,200.
I think it's more around 5,000 if my memory serves me correct. But it's not like as expensive as Michigan was, no, sir.
Right. I
And
like
I
that.
just understand why they made it so high, and they kicked a lot of players out that had done it for a long time after they learned everything from us and we showed them how to do everything. And it's like, well, we don't need you. We're going to kick you out. I thought that was very unfair of Laura, but that's my own opinion. Whether you agree with it or not, I did not like how that was done by them.
Well, of course, the licensing fees were set so damn high by the legislature, and that was specifically intended to keep guys like everybody on this call from participating in the market, pricing it to the point where none of us could afford to get in, and then making restrictions on who qualifies to get in and who could be a player that meant most of the people that were in the gray market were excluded. Look at how Don Bailey chased us down and hunted us like foxes on a hound hunt.
And he was on the board.
Oh,
They put him on there to do that.
Never forget him sitting there going, you know, Captain Kirk, I saw you pushing your little ice cream pops out there at the ice cream or the High Times Cup, pushing your little cart. And he looks at me and says, "What? You don't think we watch Facebook?" I know.
Such a turd, man.
I know.
I haven't heard about him in a while.
Yeah,
I
well,
had an encounter with him up north last fall or winter or something.
Yep, we did. The fact is that Michigan chased a lot of people away in order to pursue their dream, Kirk. You know, you're not the first one that had to leave the Great Lakes state in order to find their happy.
well, the sad thing is, but we opened the door for those people and we showed them everything, and they got lied to us like a typical politician. And again, that's why I'm not big on politicians whatsoever.
That's how so many businesses and companies have treated us too.
Yeah. And now look at all these little mom and pops that were surviving off that little extra income. You know, they weren't driving Bentleys and getting new homes or anything. They were living off, you know, supplementing their income and getting their stuff. And now they don't have that anymore. And it's going to be taken away from them due to the caregiver thing. And I got to tell you, that's pretty sad and sickening to watch, because a lot of these older folks are going to suffer because of that.
We've discussed it on a couple of different programs, Medical Mondays, and on this program too, about our concerns that the commercial cannabis industry is going to not produce the high quality medical grade strains that are needed by patients, but necessarily may not be the best yielder or the best dollar for square foot producer in a commercial cannabis garden. We're worried that there are people out there who have medical needs that are going to go unfulfilled because the caregiver system suffers through that mechanism.
That is true. And then a lot of these people buying that crap up there, that so-called medical, it's just nothing but burnt laser proof crap. I'm sorry. It's just, I can't believe these dispensaries are pumping some of the things. Not all of them. Don't get me wrong. There's some good stuff out there, but for the most part, that stuff coming out of dispensaries is junk. You and I both know that for medical. It's burnt junk. It's just, and they don't know how to grow it. And again, they came to us people, the caregivers and all of us in this industry, wanting to know how to do it. And then when they thought, well, we know everything, well, we don't need you and we'll get rid of the caregivers. And then there was a shortage again. And then, oh, we'll bring back the caregivers because we don't know what we're doing yet. And you still don't know what the hell you're doing yet. And the caregivers are kind of like, now, I don't want nothing to do with you.
Yeah.
Well, certainly.
Kirk,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, talking about the medical side of it, people are making things that are distillates now. So you're getting CBD and THC, but we don't have, a THC system. We have an endocannabinoid system, and we need all those endocannabinoids to fulfill that system within us for homeostasis, as some people think. And, what's your opinion on that? Are you cooking with full spectrum, or do you do a little bit of both? And don't you think it's important that we keep that entire plant together and put it into things?
With what you said, it also depends on the patients and who I'm working for and what I'm making at that time, specifically for that person. I do believe in the full spectrum stuff, but you got your folks out there that just clearly patients that just want to get high instead of taking their pain pills. Some of them want to go to sleep. Some of them want something upper to keep them up through the day. Again, it just depends on the person, what they're going through. And that's where it got skipped out of, as far as a lot of the caregiver thing, patient to patient, was sitting down and talking about, hey, what's wrong with you? What's going on with your endocannabinoid system? Does this strain work for you? Have you even used a strain? Have you even had RSO before? Do you even know what Rick Simpson oil is? Do you know what it's made with? Do you know what solvent that individual made that with? If they did use alcohol, are they a recovering alcoholic? I know these are all minute sounding things, but these are very important things to be asking people, because that's very extremely important to know these things. And that's where it got lost from my
it's so important.
It's going into a dispensary and you got this punk back behind there. Not all of them, but you got people sitting behind there that don't know anything about the industry. They don't smoke weed. They don't know anything about it. Hey, I had $1 million drop in. I'm getting into this because I can make some money. Well, and now they're finding out it doesn't work for them because they're sitting behind the counter looking like a fool.
Sometimes people treat these things as if it's a Starbucks transaction. And I can appreciate that the knowledge that you're talking about there, Kirk, is something that's accrued over years of exposure. You can't have a weekend, 10-hour video seminar and learn all of that stuff. You really can't. In the old days, people would select the cannabis distribution center, the dispensary they went to, based on how knowledgeable the bud tender was. People would bypass other kind of fly-by-night places to go to the place where they knew they could talk to somebody and actually get the straight shit.
That's correct.
Yeah.
Or by quality. That was another really important thing, And again, I really ask people, if you are doing the RSO treatment, again, I have nothing against it, but you do need to know what solvent that's being made with. And you do need to know if it's made with Napa. You need to know if it's made with Everclear, or if it's made with propane, or if it's made from some dude going down to Ace Hardware and getting paint thinner. And believe me, guys, as stupid and sick as that may sound, it does happen.
Well, do you prefer paint thinner or the naphtha?
Actually, I prefer the what was his name?
Mick Shane?
No, I was thinking of what's his name from Below. I was trying to be funny, but never mind.
George?
Yeah.
Yep.
There you go.
Yeah. No. Well,
but, things it's different. I do miss home and the way things are done. As far as like back home, we have the and I'm not knocking them because I love them, the farmers market system kind of thing, so to say. They don't have that up here. They've never heard or seen anything like that.
Kirk, hold up that dab cloth that you've got in front of you that's got your logo on it, that your arm's resting on. Yeah, that's it. That's the logo. That's the Captain America shield. Now I see it, man. Now I see it.
You mean the logo they ripped off from the Pistons?
Oh no, he explained that to you. So Kirk,
What's
you're in
that?
Oklahoma now. Cows, right? Cows.
Oh, and fun part about
Oh yeah.
we did have that trademark nationwide, so I'm good to go on the logo.
But
Any,
lots
have
of.
you,
Go ahead.
go ahead, Rick.
No, I'm just going to make a funny about cows in Oklahoma. There's Kirk cows, right? Cows.
Out
Okay,
there.
and I was going to ask him if he's been out tipping. So there you go. Equally as stupid.
Well, now that mushrooms are legal in Ann Arbor, I mean, I can teach them here.
True.
Right.
Yeah. You don't need
The
any
thing-
medium there.
As far as now, let me tell you something. As far as back home, you guys thought we had dispensaries there. Yeah. There's probably not a block or two that you can drive in Oklahoma without seeing a dispensary.
Now, is that statewide or just in certain cities that allow that business?
I haven't ventured out more. I can only speak for the area that I've seen, but as far as Oklahoma City, Edmond, all the down, all the surrounding part of Oklahoma City, yeah, it's pretty crazy. But a lot of them aren't open because of, let me go back to the coronavirus. So a lot of them have ended up closing and failing because of, and again, I'm not smiling due to that, but I'm just sick of hearing the coronavirus as an excuse for everything. But anyway, a lot of them have not survived or made it because of that. So
isn't that attributed? I mean, really, to competition. If they're packed in as numerously as you're talking about, I don't know any business that could survive if there was 5 of the exact same business on the same block.
It's pretty. Again, you're right. It depends on the flower and stuff. I haven't really went in to visit any of them to speak or to say. The one or two that I've been in last time I was here, I wasn't all that impressed, but there are some very nice ones here. I mean, there are some big reputable ones that eventually we will be working with through the people that I work with, buying the products and stuff like that. So I'm interested in meeting these people and hopefully this weekend have a small introduction I'm looking forward to.
Well, more distribution centers means more market for a processor's highly in-demand product. So this sounds like a good environment for you to jump off into, bud.
It's been a great environment. Like I said, I've been very blessed. I couldn't say more. And again, it's a lot of stuff I all learned from Michigan. So I'm very proud of my Michigan roots and everything I learned. And then the things that I haven't learned or don't know, or using my street sides of knowledge compared to a business side of knowledge and not knowing, that's where Brandy has came in and taught me a whole lot of things that I didn't know, and still being educated and going to college. And here she is over here.
There she is. Hi.
There she is.
Hello, Brandy.
So she's been a trooper. She's made it through all this and still smiling and still loving me. So
That's a good test.
We're doing good.
And Brandy, you're going to be doing things in the industry there as well?
Yeah, so most of my focus thus far has kind of been helping with their marketing on their end, getting them into more dispensaries, and then looks like it's going to be compliance. They're just now entering the metric and they're totally lost. None of them have a clue. They got a lot of the same laws. They have to have their stuff transported, but a lot of these facilities buy their own transport license. So you can buy it for $2,000 and transport your own stuff. It doesn't have to be locked. You just have to have a manifest form.
It's another thing I like about Oklahoma more than Michigan too, by the way.
Yeah, well, and like you guys were saying earlier, it's really cool. I mean, they opened up the whole market. So just as you were saying, if you have the land and you're able to get zoned to grow on that land, you can. So there's lots of people that just have big barns like they were doing in Michigan. And they just set them up to be compliant with the state. Now they'll have to buy into Metric, but they had to buy into another program they were using anyway. They still tracked it. It just wasn't like tag numbers and things like that didn't matter as much, where now that kind of stuff is going to really, but yeah, anybody can get into the market that way. The problem with that is it is flooded and there is a lot of garbage. So unfortunately, there's not a lot of good time. There's a lot of unknowledgeable bud tenders just as he was saying, here it's really bad. It's like taking us back to when we first started back in 2010 and nobody knew anything and was just kind of slanging the weed. That's kind of what it's like here. They just around, everybody looks like a hippie in some sense. Nobody has any real knowledge. So
and I wouldn't say not nobody, just the folks that we've encountered so far. So I'm sure there are some.
You got 300 dispensaries. I would say 25% of them are doing well. Out of
I thought the number of tattoos on your arm dictated how much you know about cannabis. Isn't that the way they hire bud tenders in Oklahoma? That's how we do it up here.
I mean, sometimes that's what they think.
For growers.
Oh, okay. All right.
Everybody master grower. Remember, I don't have any tattoos. I'm screwed.
I know some smart bud tenders with some arm tattoos, Rick Thompson.
No, certainly that's true. But oftentimes people look at someone and they evaluate what their cannabis experience has been just by looking at them. If they look like they just dropped out of the police academy, you might look at them and think, you don't know a damn thing about cannabis. Who the hell are you trying to do? But by the same token, if you've got dreads and smelly and you've got a couple of teardrops over here, then of course your shit is really good, right? So that's the perception a lot of people have when they do hiring in the cannabis industry.
Yeah, they have the same, a lot of, even when they're out, they really just don't have a real good concept of relationships and how to properly go into the facilities and get this stuff sold. And here they actually have they have the same, they require terpene testing for all their flower on top of just potency testing, because you guys were talking about how everybody's just using distillate and it's kind of like taken away from all the other cannabinoids and stuff. Well, that's one thing I admire about here is they do require a little bit more testing. However, it doesn't cost as much. So it's only $250 for your whole shit and shebang versus the $500 it is there. And you'd only have to have a quarter for each batch. That might change now with the metric and whatnot, but as of right now, they're only requiring like a quarter of everything that you have in order to test it. Only like a batch of like 7 pieces of edibles, and it's pretty lax in that sense.
But they come in and pick it out, so.
Yeah, they come in and they pick it out, and so it's pretty fair as far as that's concerned.
I like what Jim said. He said you don't have a THC system, you have an endocannabinoid system. So we really do have to play to the whole plant thing, and medibles are really one of the opportunities you have to do that. You can increase terpene count, you can add additional terpenes to, compensate for whatever may have been lost through a processing, process. So
we do know a couple of people that actually are affiliated with cannabinoid scientists and tinctures, and they do THCA, they do full spectrum. We just really got a good connection as far as that's concerned, to make sure that we can produce more wide variety of full spectrum edibles along with the isolates and things of that nature. But that is a common goal of ours. And like you were saying, we're trying to segue more into usable things that people use every day or that could discreetly take around, where people aren't going to say, hey, did you just pop, some cannabis? The soups, we're kind of honing in on those, and we're making them more consumer friendly as far as you can eat the entire thing of soup. His soups were so medicated, some people could take 3 bites and just be on the floor. So we were like, well, that's kind of a waste. The poor person just ate 3 bites and now their whole cup of soup is gone. So we're doing, 10, 25, 50, and 100 milligram cups of soup. So if you need that stronger dose, you can get that with the 100 milligrams. But if you can only handle 10 milligrams, you can still eat your cup of soup and get the proper dose as if you were eating, a little square of a gummy or something along those lines.
We were talking about raw cannabis juicing on Medical Mondays last night. Is that something that's allowed in Oklahoma? And if so, would you be interested in doing something like that for packaging?
100% and 100%. Yeah, that's one of the things really cool about Oklahoma is they don't have any real restrictions on what it is that we can produce. So, I mean, they're doing slushy machines here. You can go get on a hot day, you can go get a medicated slushy. A lot of facilities got in trouble because they weren't smart about how they were doing it. They basically weren't getting the batches tested and then putting those tested batches into the machines and then saying every 12 ounces is this many milligrams and printing the sticker. They were just willy-nillying it, but that's all the state wanted. So they're basically saying to us, hey, we don't care what you do. We just want to make sure that you're labeling the product properly based on the test results. And that's easy enough to do as long as you're doing that. So we've really, like I said, we've been delving pretty big into thinking outside the box. Everybody's doing gummies, everybody's doing cookies, everybody does brownies, everybody does hard candies. What can we do? You know, and he's got a lot of products that he's won the Cannabis Cup with that we've never been able to get on the shelves. So we're really looking forward to bringing the sugar-free what are those, truffles and key lime truffles and the Buckeyes, and that we're actually going to make Buckeyes to give away at the non-medicated, unfortunately, because we have to wait until our license is all
Make sure it's all there.
yeah,
It's there,
ready
just
to go.
making sure.
Well, we can't sell anything yet until they inspect it. So once they inspect the kitchen and everything, then we're good to go to sell products out of it. But until then, we're stuck. So we decided, well, we'll just give away non-medicated versions of our products and do kind of like a coming soon to, you know, dispensaries near you. So
Because one of the biggest things I strive for is not making my edibles taste like cannabis. And it's not because I don't like cannabis or anything, but I just wanted things to taste like normal food. So when we pass these edibles, it tastes just like this, but it'll be medicated. So
yeah, one for the freeze pops. We've never been able to get those on the shelf. The first we can actually, they can have a freezer and they can sell the freeze creams. Do the ice cream like ice cream instead of freeze dried, and we can do the freeze dried versions as well.
for the preppers and those that are doing, you know,
yeah,
going
or just
on
a commodity of it. It's fun.
Very cool. That's good strategies. The list keeps growing of the things I like about what's going on in Oklahoma.
Sloppy Joe's freeze dried are pretty cool, guys. You can take it and you can do just like a Sloppy Joe freeze dried, open it back up a couple months later, put about a tablespoon of hot water on it, and you got your instant Sloppy Joe right there, bro.
And do you use like squirrel for that?
Black squirrels, lives matter. Michigan. Brown
He's in Oklahoma. They said that. That's rude. Wow, man.
Possums sometimes.
Yeah.
So you actually do freeze dry the beef for it, for the Sloppy Joe? Wow, okay.
Yeah. Nice. You know, I mean,
What they call the MRE or whatever.
You saying, Bird?
Meal ready. What? You know, they have them for soldiers and stuff. You know,
yeah.
What do they call those?
MREs. We were
rations.
MREs, and even hopefully be talking to the military about that.
Oh, cool.
So yeah, everything is opened up. Like I said, I've been very blessed, and yeah.
Well, I mean, you may be an excellent cannabis chef, but the opportunity to market foods goes beyond just the cannabis consumer. And if you're able to do freeze drying and things like that in a way that people enjoy, then you really have expanded your market well beyond. I mean, let's face it, a ton of people use cannabis, but now you're talking about a whole different group of potential consumers, and that just multiplies your success potential.
We've even figured out how to freeze dried bananas and strawberries without, you know, just regular old bananas. Nothing added, nothing. Yeah.
Just about anything that's water based or meat or anything could be freeze dried. It's kind of cool. And then we were just thinking, you know, the more things that you can think about, what are those things that we could medicate, people could bring back home and repurpose. Some things you can't, like the medicated gummy bears and stuff like that. That's a commodity type thing. The Skittles, those aren't going to turn back into Skittles, but there's a lot of foods that turn right back into the food they were before they were freeze dried.
Like
And
carrots
that's really
and potatoes
things that we're
and stuff
trying
like
to
that.
capitalize on so that people can take home and make a meal. You know, if you want to take home some carrots and potatoes, and you know, if you didn't know, mashed potatoes that are in a box are just freeze dried potatoes. So we're already on the way with a few things there, but
And we've also been working on protein drinks since we've been able to freeze dry stuff. So
Yeah,
be able to take the
protein
powder
drinks
and
are
just pour into the milk and stuff like that, or whatever it is before you go work out in the morning. And
we had a lot of requests. Like, people would think that the Midnight Roots bars, the way that he was marketing them, were like actual milkshakes. So people would like literally be like, how do you do that milkshake? How do I buy a milkshake? And so him and I got to thinking, like, what could we do to bring people a milkshake, you know, in a sustainable way? And we're onto that as
All the boys love a milkshake.
yeah,
you know.
it's been nice when they finally have a kitchen and turned me loose in it and said, here, discover things, figure out what you want to do. I was like, all right, this has been great. So it's been like a little kid in a chocolate factory, kind of, you know, my
Very
dream.
nice.
Well, you've had a smile on your face throughout the whole interview, even when we were talking about some of those negative things that happened to you once you arrived in Oklahoma. And I just know that you guys are going to have a great future ahead of you and a positive success in that state, because you're just walking into it with such a great attitude.
I want to clear up one thing real quick, just to make sure if I offended anyone with the Black Squirrel Lives thing. That had to do with Big Al up there when we went up there, and it had nothing to do with the moment or anything. It's just when we went up there and we saw the black squirrels, red squirrels, gray squirrels, and we were all laughing about how they mattered. So anyway, if anyone took offense to that, I did not mean any racial way or anything. It was just a joke that came. So if anyone was offended by that, I did not mean that. And
That's cool. I'm sure there's probably some people that appreciate you clarifying that.
The squirrel attorney is no longer writing you a letter. He's now decided not to do that anymore.
Be careful what you say nowadays. It's very it's different. It's different nowadays. It's definitely different. Even coming back home to hear some of the old lingo in there, it's different. I'm just saying it's different. So again,
It's called the cancel culture. The cancel culture.
I like it. That's quite.
Yeah,
I'm
and
not-
you have to walk a very thin line to make sure that you don't offend. And although we might not necessarily think that that's the right way to live, it is the way to stay in business and not have your reputation ruined by just a casual misstep. Jamie will tell you that a casual misstatement by Dr. Bob up at the Holistic Healing Center has really caused him a whole lot of trouble. He made a really bad statement after a guy was found dead on his property, and
Very insensitive. Yeah. Did you hear
it
about
was
that?
insensitive, and now he's paying a heavy price.
Yeah,
Did
that
you
was,
hear
I
about
heard
that
about
down
it.
there, Kirk?
Do
Kirk,
what?
Did you hear? Hey, did you hear about that?
I've
Dr.
heard bits
Bob?
of it. It's just that all the way around for however it went down.
Yeah. So, but you have to be careful at what you say, especially if you're a business owner. If you have people that depend upon you, if you make an indiscretion, you got to own it. You can't run from it anymore like you used to be able to.
That's true. And yeah. So again, that's true.
Yep.
But I miss Michigan, and for everybody out there doing your thing, I'm still proud of you. I know there's a lot of people that were not able to get into the licensings that have not gave up and still taking care of patients. And I just want those people to know I salute you for still carrying on and doing what you're doing to make sure that those patients are still getting their medication. Because look, man, I'm not knocking dispensaries, and I get it, because here's the reason why I like dispensaries. And again, I do business with them. For the main reason, from a street guy who liked dispensaries, here's my main reason. I know that 7 days a week during this time and this time here, I can get medication. Now, can I afford that medication? Well, that's something different I got to play with and figure out. But I know no matter what that I can always get medication. I don't have to call somebody up and wait at Walmart, and they end up showing up because they had to wait for their kid or something. Whatever may have happened, and still not get my medicine and wait for the next day, and sometimes still not happen and get it then because your hookup didn't show up or whatever. So I get the point of dispensaries, but some of the prices, you know, and I've seen some of these older folks, the older folks who really need their medication can't afford those prices. So they've actually had to turn to the black market, so to say. What am I looking for? Farmers market kind of thing. And that's why I find those very important. And I hope that they don't do away with caregivers in the system like that. And some of those things that are implemented and some of those places that are being used and utilized by patients, I hope those never go away, or at least find a way to work with them and let them sustain and do their business, because I think that's the only way some of these patients can get to their medicine. Whether the dispensaries agree with that or not, I can't help that side of it. But I'm just saying that there's people that could not get their medication if it was not for those places.
Well said.
So I hope they leave them alone and let them operate, or find some way to work with them without being overtaxed or overrated like they did to kick people like us out. You know what I'm saying? So, and how's the micro thing going back there, Rick? Are people utilizing that, the micro license? Is that being utilized by a lot of people? Is that still happening?
We got our friend Scott Roberts was on Jazz Cabbage the other day and said that the very first, I'm sorry, was it?
Up north, the first one up north.
Yep, very first
Yes.
one.
Yeah.
Received a license, yeah.
There'll be more to follow, but that's a slow one.
That's a slow rollout. It's 2020, and those license types were created in 2018. So
And they didn't require the previous having an MMFLA license either.
which
So
meant
they had
that
to- yeah, good.
so they just started issuing those licenses in December of 2019. So it's been less than 12 months, but still, what that makes it like 8 months, 9 months. So that's a long time before issuing a single license.
Some communities are opting in on a lot of the activity, but excluding the micro opportunities for whatever their reasons are. So
You know what? I forgot. You're right.
it's a slow
Michigan,
one.
yeah, I know it hadn't been a long time. And all the taxes there that have been raised off the cannabis and like the clubs that first opened up recreational, all that money that was made in the taxes that went off that, what's the state done with all that money? I mean, I haven't seen one of those damn roads fixed or anything. So where have all those taxes gone off the cannabis? Are they somewhere?
The House of Representatives in Michigan passed a bill to give $17 million out of the cannabis fund to the general fund in the state of Michigan, which would be one of those payments towards roads and teachers and things like that too. Now, recognize that there's two different funds. One that comes from patient and caregiver fees. That's not what was tapped. What was tapped was the overpayment of licensing fees for the recreational and for the MMFLA programs. So that was where they still left themselves like $7 million in the bank. So they gave a big chunk, and they still got a lot of operating budget left.
When it comes to the MRTMA, that hasn't kicked in yet. First couple of years, up to $20 million go towards research for veterans of PTSD. And then when the excise tax starts getting distributed, it's 35% goes to roads. It's not going to be the difference of fixing all the roads. There'll be some consistent good money coming in for it, but the type of money that's needed for that is not what this is going to generate.
There's also like this old law that like says that every mile of road gets like the same funding, and it's really just I don't know, it screws up the southeast Michigan really bad, because like our 1 mile might have 4 lanes or 8 lanes, you know. So there's a lot of legislation.
Width is not considered, sounds like.
Girth is not a factor in that formula.
You look at the taxing and you hope it's going to go to roads. Like you hope that people spending money on lottery tickets is going to go to schools.
Right.
I don't see that improving. So I don't know. Transparency is definitely good when it comes to this stuff.
And also 1 mile of paved road, 1 lane is worth $1 million to like set it up and everything, all materials and workers and everything, was what I was told at some point. So
$1 million a mile? That seems like a very easy to figure formula.
Yeah. So 17 million ain't far.
17 miles.
Well, and again, they took that from there to put it into the general fund. Who knows what they're going to use that for? As Jamie mentioned, those specific, allocations won't come in. Although they have been collecting tax dollars now for several quarters from legalized facilities. They started licensing them in December. It's now the 9th month of 2020. So they've had 9 months of solid transactions to be able to have tapped into.
Wow.
Yeah, and for the first couple of years, that goes to the veterans research and stuff.
It makes sense that they would hold all of that until after the end of the first fiscal year of operation, and then make the cash gifts at that point. So I'm sure all of that, the 10% excise tax money is in a separate account. You know how bean keepers are, or bean counters are. They've always got everything in a row. So
I've seen dirty politicians out of Detroit and everything come up missing. I'm just wondering if this is going to come up missing too. So, or
that's
an investigation over where the money went, and that'll cost more money. So I'm like, come on, people, do some good with it, please. I don't care. Just do some good with it.
Hey, Kirk was around for the very early days of the MMMA. Remember, and all the dramas that were unfolding with all that stuff.
I sometimes tell the story. My first time coming to Third Coast, you were in the back hallway with a paint roller in your hand, rolling that sloping walkway that went down to the music room that we had.
I remember. That's funny.
Yeah.
Man, long time. Yeah, guys, we've been around this for a long time, and I just hope a lot of people don't get left out. And it is sad, and Rick, you brought it up earlier, a lot of people have had to leave in order to fulfill their dreams in this industry. Certainly not a place, and I'm glad to be back home in Oklahoma. This is my state I grew up in. My son's about 3 hours from me now. My granddaughters, who I haven't got to see yet, but that'll be worked out soon. But it wasn't what 10 years ago, the girl that got arrested here and spent 5 years for a roach. I would have thought Oklahoma would last place to go with it. So it's been very creepy to come back home and now see things the way they are compared to where when I was younger. And it was the main reason I left Oklahoma, because cannabis here was, you're the devil, you're in the Baptist state. No, you can't be smoking marijuana. And, you're going to go to prison or jail or die. So I left.
Yeah, those are not good choices, the three you just laid out. No. I was more scared of the Southern Baptist than I was the jail or the death one, to tell you. But that's what they want you to be. That's the culture they create. So yes, that's control.
We're rolling a little bit longer than typical. So anything you want to make sure you impart to us before we move on for the last few minutes and end the show, Kirk?
Just God bless you folks there in Michigan. Keep doing what you're doing. I thank you for all this positive support that I've gotten from Michigan, for Brandy and myself through everything that's happened. Again, all I can tell you folks back home listening is it made us stronger. It made things happen for us I couldn't believe. There was a gentleman we all know, and I'm not even going to bring up the name, that made a comment about what happened to us here. That was probably one of the most devastating things that I've personally have went through or heard that happened because of the way it affected Brandy. I hope that individual can find some peace somewhere in his heart and get over that. That was probably one of the sickest things I can say. But anyway, or heard. But for the rest of Michigan, thank you. Thank you for your support. Thank you for everything you've done. I look forward to being back soon. And again, for you folks that have wondered about Dab-A-Ween or Dab-A-Doo, it wasn't that I skipped out of Michigan and left all that stuff. It was because the state won't allow me now. All the money that was raised to throw those events are still there. All those venues were paid for. But until the state says, hey, you can have 500 people and party down, Captain, I can't do that. So just to let everybody know, that's how that's happening. And the first call I get that says, hey, it's lifted and 500 people can be in one spot, you know me, party time. So
that's a story for other large annual events on hold. Yeah. So you're not alone with that. we'll check in a few weeks, see what's going on. And as I said, I'll talk to you outside of this in the next day or two and see about getting you a replacement ukulele, since I know that was one of the most important things that was taken in the trailer.
Yeah, we're just going to keep hitting. If anybody on Facebook sees anything like that, or, you know, the ukulele with Tommy Chong and Cheech signed on there, all those High Times posters I had done in real nice frames. We got all the receipts for them and everything, so we're able to turn those into the police. But yeah, we're just going to keep going to stuff and hoping we can come across something.
Damn.
And if we don't, you know, for the most part, again, we've rebuilt and we're doing fine. You know, we're going to make it through. So I've had an amazing group of people I'm working with and friends back home. They're in Michigan, and friends here that I grew up with my teenage years. And again, that's why I'm smiling. I'm just so blessed of everyone I couldn't say thank you enough for everything that's happened. So it's been a blessing, a real blessing, and all the help that I've gotten back there. And Jamie's going to send me a ukulele, and then you'll know I'll be sitting out here in Oklahoma playing a ukulele, telling my story.
Nice.
And you can't tell a sad story while playing a ukulele. You just can't do it. It's a happy instrument.
Guy my size, you know, and you're 260 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. How can you go wrong, you know?
Can't go wrong. Hey, thanks a lot, Kirk, and we'll be checking in soon, and I'll talk to you relatively soon too. Really appreciate it, man. I'm glad that you have that going on. You really deserve it. Thanks a lot, man.
And I appreciate that. And yeah, we're working hard. I'll keep you guys informed and tell you more.
Thanks, man.
Take care.
Talk to you soon.
Yeah.
So it went on
160 pounds of twisted steel and sex appeal. He beat me to that line. I would have taken that so quickly. God damn. Way to go, Kirk. Great haircut, by the way, too, brother.
Peace.
See you, man. So, just wanted to get in before we did it. Well, let's Kirk work on signing off here. There we go. I did get word that the expungement bills are going to be heard this week, a little bit sooner than we were anticipating. And they are generally good, but as we discussed, the cannabis one falls a little bit short of what it actually states that it will do. The author of that bill and many of the Republicans in the Senate would be the key to getting it moved on for amendments if it were at all possible. So the chances of that happening are not that great, but there's no reason why we shouldn't make people aware of it. And
so folks understand it's actually passed out of committee. So this goes to a vote of the full Senate, which means there's no citizen testimony at this time. So we don't have an opportunity to input. We have to use our legislative partners to get anything done. Jamie.
It's been through the House and it's been through, as Rick said, committee in the Senate. So this is the final stage before it goes to be signed by the governor. And it is tie-barred to a package of bills that are generally an improvement over what's going on now with expungement opportunities for people.
Right.
So but the cannabis part purports to offer expungement opportunities for activity that was made legal in the MRTMA, and it basically falls short. So we say that it allows adults to grow, to possess, to use, and to transfer. And the expungement opportunities are for possession and use. So those other two things should be added. And people should be made aware of that, at least at this point. We were kind of hoping to get some more word out a little bit along the way, thinking that it might be heard a little bit later, but it's coming up soon. That happens sometimes. So it's a weird one, but
the expungement, Jamie, I think the expungement package as written passed the House. Was that by unanimous vote? Is that true?
Something, I remember there was something that was like 105 to nothing or something like that. I mean, which would mean that a few people just didn't vote, because I think there's 110 representatives for a full House. And that could be it. Yeah. So, I mean, because it's good. It's a good, it's an improvement over the existing conditions, but
It does not allow expungement for things that should be. It also doesn't create automatic expungement for cannabis crimes.
Sure.
It does create automatic expungement for other crimes, and there's no logical reason why a cannabis crime should not have that same automatic feature. It's discriminatory against cannabis, which is the whole purpose of the bill in the first place.
I agree.
It'll put some prisons out of business.
I hope so.
It's limited to misdemeanors too. It is in need of improvement, but that's the best they could get out of it in the House. I think when people hear about this, it makes sense to them that it should be added. So to get the word out is still valuable. I think we can work on this in the next session. I mean, it'd be great if something opened up now. It just doesn't seem that incredibly realistic.
What we recall from our legislative experience, specifically with the forfeiture bills, is the forfeiture bills that were acted on. I think it's 2014. We were told at that time, yes, they fall short of what you want, but we'll do some cleanup later on. We'll pass another bill to tighten up what we're doing. We just need to get these bills passed. And we watched that go down, and since then there's been no additional effort to clean up the forfeiture situation. The things that we thought they were lacking in are areas still needing improvement, and I'm concerned that when we have an expungement package that goes out, there won't be an opportunity to quote unquote clean up the bills in any time within the next few years.
So the I don't know who they all are, but whoever the majority leader majority leader in the Senate.
Mike Shirkey.
Okay. Senator Shirkey. And I know that maybe Senator Lucido might be a major figure on one of the committees.
He passed it out of his committee. I don't think he is actually the Senate.
Well, they won't bring it back in, but if he somebody like him initiating this idea would be what it would take. So those people can be moved.
Yeah.
And,
I think Lee Chatfield is a speaker and that Shirkey is a senator.
Yeah.
Anyway, I guess we should wrap up Jazz Cabbage Cafe pretty soon, eh?
Yeah, as long as everybody understands their job and getting this bill amended. So next week we can talk about how we were all successful in doing that.
Jamie will keep us all up to date. Follow his Facebook page as he talks about different ways in which we can influence people. There are opportunities for us to write letters, to maybe make phone calls to offices.
We'll try to do something, but getting word out about it, I think, makes sense. It helps to set the stage for working on it later on. If nothing else, there's some value in that.
Right.
So we want to send some positive vibes to Deborah. She's her dog is getting some major surgery right now, and hoping for everything to go well and for recovery to go well. And so she's, dealing with that. And, we just wish her the best.
For sure. Yep.
That's why she's not here.
It's stressful for the entire family when one of your pets has an illness.
And it was really cool to have Julie on, but it's also been really cool to have Jim and Colin on a lot to just stay updated on this whole progress leading up to last night. So that was really cool, and I'm glad we could talk about that a little more today.
Yeah. Thank you.
That's going to be a great segment.
Yep, and Captain Kirk, of course. It's cool to see him be doing something. I mean, it sucks that he had a setback with all of his shit, and he and Brandy's ship being stolen, but seems like he still has a really good attitude, and they've got some really good opportunities out there. And they're working together on it and doing well.
Berg, why don't you tell people how they can tune into Medical Mondays?
Find us on YouTube, and it's Medical Mondays podcast every Monday night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time.
Jim, what's going on in your life? What do you have that you'd like to tell people about?
Oh, geez. The DNA 2 and helping pass decrim in Ann Arbor is really the only thing that, we've been doing lately. I'm just excited about what's next with that and what we're going to do. And if we can actually get ceremonies going in Ann Arbor and start to really make this something that takes off in a whole different direction where everyone can participate and eventually we can get to, recreation, perhaps.
And CMAC, you got other things other than DNA coming up?
Nothing really. I'm just gonna echo what Jim was saying. Thank all the activists out there who really put some time and effort into our initiative.
But it's important to let the citizens know exactly what their rights and responsibilities are. So perhaps some kind of literature is drawn up or something like that that you can hand out to folks to let them know where their privileges lie and what they can and cannot expect, so that they're not subject to misinterpretation, I'm sure. So that's worthy. I've got I'm sorry. Tomorrow, 420 posts, myself and Mike Brennan, that goes off at 1 p.m. and that's available on our Facebook page too. And also Grow Green MI will be relaunching their podcast series, The Secret Garden, which also takes place at Wednesdays at 1 o'clock. And you can catch the cannabis news both on 420 Post and on The Secret Garden. So those are things I'm doing. Jamie?
Well, planting green trees, 8 o'clock on Thursday nights. And other than that,
Cannabis Caucus this Saturday at 4:20 p.m. You can catch a live meeting and participate to a degree in the Cannabis Caucus meeting if you join us via our Facebook page.
All true. And I'm getting my haircut tonight at 7:30.
Oh,
About time.
So I'll be in Royal Oak. People want to gather around.
That's odd, but okay.
It would be, but if they want to, that's how it could happen.
Nice. Well, of course, keep an eye out for things. I know that Matthew Abel just announced there's a meeting of the Cannabis Caucus of the Michigan Democrat of the Marijuana Law Section of the State Bar Association in Michigan coming up. They're about to switch leadership. Matthew is the current chair of the law section, and it's about to switch to another person. So that's something, if you are so inclined, you could participate. It is a Zoom broadcast, not an in-person thing. So those of us who are not JD holders can join in.
Well, we went full 2 hours today. Really appreciate everybody's participation. Good stuff. And I'll be back here next week and all these other shows we talked about. Thanks a lot, everybody.
so
Have a great day.
Talk to you soon.
Thanks.
Bye all.